Battlefield 6 has problems. We can talk about bots, matchmaking, progression, maps, balance, servers, all of that. And I think those conversations matter. But today, I want to talk about the reason I still care about Battlefield in the first place. Because even with all the issues people bring up, Battlefield still does one thing better than almost every FPS out there: chaos. And I don't mean random noise, don't mean explosions just for the sake of explosions. I mean that specific Battlefield chaos where a normal match suddenly turns into something cinematic and nobody planned it. You're pushing an objective, smoke covers the flag, your squad starts panicking, half the area gets covered in explosions, then a random teammate revives you in the worst possible spot, and somehow you're still laughing because it feels like Battlefield. A lot of FPS games have good gunplay, a lot of games have fast movement, but Battlefield has never been at its best because it is the cleanest shooter. It's not always the most balanced, polished, competitive, but when Battlefield works, it gives you moments that other shooters struggle to create. And that's the key word: moments. The kind of moments you didn't queue up for. The kind of moments you can't really explain unless someone else was there. In a small shooter, the fight is usually simple. You peek, you shoot, you win or lose. But in Battlefield, the fight has layers. Maybe you're shooting one guy, but a tank is behind them. Maybe a sniper is watching the road. Maybe your teammate is crawling towards you for a revive. The gunfight is only one piece of the moment. Everything around it matters too. That's what makes Battlefield feel different. And I think that's why people keep coming back to the franchise. It's not because Battlefield is perfect, it definitely isn't. It's because every now and then, the game gives you one of those only in Battlefield moments. And yes, that phrase gets used up so much that it almost sounds cheesy at this point. But there's a reason people still say it. Because no matter how many shooters come out, there are still things that happen in Battlefield that feel different. A helicopter crashing into an objective, transport vehicle full of players rushing a flag, a squad somehow holding a point they had no business holding. These moments are messy, but the mess is part of the identity. And that's why I don't think Battlefield should try too hard to become like every other FPS. It should improve, obviously, but it needs good gunplay, it needs strong performance, better systems, better maps, and smart balance, because the chaos is a selling point. But it should never lose the thing that makes it Battlefield, because the chaos is the selling point. It's the flavor. It's the reason a match can still be fun even when your KD is terrible, and that matters. In a lot of shooters, if you're not playing well, the match just feels bad. If you're losing every duel, missing shots, getting outplayed, or getting destroyed by better players, there isn't else much to hold on to. But in Battlefield, you can have a bad individual game and still remember one crazy moment. Maybe you didn't top the scoreboard, maybe your aim was off, but you helped take one objective in the middle of absolute chaos. You revived someone at the perfect time. You were there when the whole fight turned into a disaster. And that's one of the things Battlefield does really well. It gives average players more ways to matter. You don't always have to have the best aim in the lobby to contribute. You can revive, resupply, repair, spot. You can distract the vehicle long enough for someone else to destroy it. That team-based chaos gives more players a role. And I think modern FPS games sometimes forget how important that is. But Battlefield is stronger when different kinds of players can all contribute to the same huge fight. Don't get me wrong, the crack infantry player matters. The medic matters. You can be part of a squad push. You can distract the vehicle long enough for someone else to destroy it. That team-based chaos gives more players a role. And I think modern FPS games sometimes forget how important that is. Not every shooter needs to be built around only mechanical skill. Mechanical skill should matter, of course, but Battlefield is stronger when different kinds of players can all contribute to the same huge fight. The crack infantry player matters, the medic matters, the support player matters, engineer, even the random teammate who drops ammo at the perfect time matters, and that's what makes the game feel bigger than one person. And when all of that comes together, Battlefield creates cinematic gameplay without forcing a cutscene. That's the best kind of cinematic. Not scripted, not perfectly controlled. Just players creating chaos by accident. And that's why Battlefield clips are fun to watch. One match becomes a vehicle war, another becomes an infantry meat grinder, another turns into a sniper battle. The sandbox lets the match change depending on what players are doing. That is the magic. This is also why map design matters so much in Battlefield. A good Battlefield map is not just a pretty location, it is a stage for chaos. The map needs infantry routes, vehicle lanes, cover, open areas, and objectives that pull players into conflict. When the map design is right, the chaos feels natural. When it's wrong, the chaos either becomes frustrating or disappears completely. That's why Battlefield fans care so much about maps, because the map decides whether the chaos feels good or is annoying. Vehicles are another huge part of this. In some shooters, vehicles would feel out of place, but in Battlefield, vehicles are part of the language of the game. A tank on the field changes how infantry moves. A helicopter changes how squads use cover. A jet overhead changes the atmosphere of the match. A transport vehicle can turn a losing team into a sudden flank. Vehicles are not just tools for kills. They shape the battlefield. They create pressure. They force players to adapt, and that interaction between infantry and vehicles is one of the main reasons Battlefield feels like Battlefield. Of course, vehicles have to be balanced. Nobody wants to be farmed by something they can't fight back against. But when vehicles are done right, they make the match feel larger. They make the world feel dangerous. They add that extra layer that separates Battlefield from a normal infantry shooter. And this is where Battlefield 6 has a real opportunity. It doesn't need to beat every FPS at being the sweatiest. It doesn't need to copy every trend. It just needs to protect what makes Battlefield different. Scale, teamwork, vehicles, objectives, destruction, and most of all, unscripted chaos. That doesn't mean the problems don't matter. They do. I mean, bots matter, the servers matter. If those systems are bad, they can hurt the whole game. But I also don't want to forget why the game is worth caring about in the first place. Because if Battlefield had nothing special left, people wouldn't be this passionate. They wouldn't be this loud. They wouldn't keep coming back every time a new one drops. The reason people criticize Battlefield so much is because they know what it can be. They know how good it feels when everything clicks. And when it does click, there still isn't much like it. That's the point of this video. Battlefield 6 has that thing, that chaos, cinematic, unpredictable feeling. The feeling that a match can turn into a story at any moment. The feeling that you're not just playing a shooter, you're part of a bigger battle. And for me, that is Battlefield's biggest strength. Not perfect balance, not flawless systems, not the cleanest competitive experience, but moments, the random stuff, the squad pushes, the dumb revives, the lucky escapes, the how did I survive that moments, the stuff you don't get in the same way anywhere else. So yeah, Battlefield has issues and I'm going to keep talking about them. But I also think that it's important to talk about what the game still gets right, because when Battlefield gives you that chaos, that scale, and those ridiculous and scripted moments, it reminds you why this series still matters. And honestly, that's the thing I hope Battlefield keeps building around. Not just more content or more weapons or more maps, but more situations where players can create stories, because that is what Battlefield does better than almost every FPS. So what do you think? Is chaos still Battlefield's best feature, or do you think the series needs to focus more on competitive balance and tighter gameplay? Drop your takes in the comments, and if you enjoy calm FPS discussions like this, consider subscribing. Thanks guys!